Okay guys, this video is on the topic of what's called overloading methods. And just to give you a short definition of that, that is when you create more than one method definition that has the same name. And the version of the definition, the version of the method with that name that's called, depends on the signature. So I'm going to show you a couple examples. I'm going to go return back to, I think, the first example method I gave you, which was, I think it was this, right? Public static int compute sum, if you remember, and it took two arguments. I think I called them left and right for the left and right operands that you normally have. And the way this method worked was it just took the left and added it to the right and returned it. I'm going to show you a slightly different example from before, a little shorthand. I think I used helper variables in the previous definition, but you could have simply just done this as well. So return left plus right. And let's make this look pretty. That's a definition of the compute sum method that takes two integers as arguments. So the two parameters are integers, left and right. Adds them together and returns the sum. That's not the only way you can compute a sum. Depending on what you're actually programming, what your task is, you could have all kinds of different ways to compute sums. Honestly, this is a very simple example just to show you how it works. But it could come up, in different, let's say you have a program where you have a list of things that are names, and you want to put them in a certain order or do something with them, and you have another list that are numbers. The way it would operate on those two things might vary, but it's the same task. You're still sorting them or whatever you're doing to. So you want to use the same name. So that's how this is useful. Just to show you an example for this one where you're adding, summing up two numbers. You might also want to sum up three numbers. So just to show you how that would work, public static int compute sum int 1, int 2, and int 3. So of course, the return value for this is just going to be all three numbers added up together. So return 1 plus 2 plus 3. It's not the greatest names for variables, by the way, but they'll work. So what you'll notice here, don't have any errors that you can see. I have two methods, two method definitions. They both have the same name, compute sum. What differentiates the two is that term you want to remember for tests. The parts of a method, the part that concerns us now is the part called the method signature. So the method signature is the name of the method plus the parameter list. That's the signature. It's called a signature because your Java program knows which version, which definition of the compute sum method to call based on the signature. So just to show an example of that, let's see. I'm going to add to this a little bit too, just to help us understand what's going on. I'm going to add a little message here. It's going to system.out.println. I'm going to call this the 2 operand version. And likewise for the other method, and again, these are kind of silly methods. You would probably, if you actually had to sum up numbers, you'd probably do it a lot differently than this. But this just serves as an example. So I'll put a little message in this one called the 3 operand version. So just to show you how this works, let's do this. Let's have int result. We'll have helper variables here again to make it a little easier to follow. Result equals, and we'll just use literal values. So I just want to remind you that you don't always use variables here. We'll just use literal values, literal integers. So 10, let's say, and I'm not going to use negatives to make it confusing. I'll just do this. 10 and 19. That's going to be one call. Notice there's no errors yet. system.out.println result. We're going to call, again with the result, we're going to call compute sum, this time with, make it really simple here, 3 different integers. And then print out the answer again. So, see, I'm repeating myself here. Maybe we should make a method for that. But anyway, you get the idea. So let's run this and see what happens. And what you'll notice is that it gives us the answer, but the message is different. And why is the message different? Because this compute sum method call, because of the signature, notice the signature is the name of the method plus the, in this case, the argument list, 2 integers. So which one does it call? It calls the compute sum that has 2 integers as parameters. And this one has the message 3 operand version, and that's because inside this one, this method definition that has 3 parameters or integers, it returns, it calls this definition, this method definition, executes the code, which includes this little message, and then it returns the sum of the 3. So let's check our math here, make sure. Yeah, 1 and 2 is 3 plus 3 is 6. So it looks good. I just want to add one more thing. Keep in mind, this is one of the things that it trips people up when they ask questions about it. The return value is not included in the method signature. So you notice how I changed the return value to double. It'll still call this particular definition, this one right here, with 3 integers as arguments, because that's the signature. What it returns as a data type doesn't matter. So you'll notice it's trying to assign, in this case, result. It's going to try to assign it to an integer. Let's just make that a double. A double will be able to take either return value, whether it's an integer, it'll just convert it automatically, or it'll take the actual double value here. So when we call this, got a 0.0 on the end. It's pretty much the only difference. But again, remember, it's the signature, which is just the name of the method plus the parameter list. The fact that there's 3 integers in a row. You could have 2 integers in a double, a string, an integer in a double, whatever. But same name, 2 definitions of the same name method, but the parameter lists are different. So the signature, the method signature is different.